The last test I'm going to write is intended to target the setMessage function in my Solidity here. So I created a new instance of the contract, which I already did here in the before each. So I'm referring to this inbox. That's the new instance of the contract. Then I'm going to attempt to modify the message by calling setMessage and then retrieve the message again by using the automatically generated function message. So I'm going to write this test out inside my test file. So I'm here at the bottom of inbox.test.js. I'm going to add another it block inside of here. So I'm going to say it can change the message. So this will look something like this. It can change the message, comma. Now, I probably can make a reasonable assumption that I'm going to use some asynchronous code inside this method. So I'm going to mark it as being async. So here I'll do async, and then ES6 arrow function. Now, inside of here, I have the inbox instance that I defined in the before each. So I think all I have to do is attempt to change the message and then retrieve it just like I did in the previous test, and then make sure that it gets updated in some fashion. So I really just need one new line of code. I need to figure out how I can change the message. To change the message, I'm going to, again, reference inbox.methods. So I want to say, and I've said this before, that this methods object here, get rid of that for now. This methods object here is something I'm going to touch again and again and again. So this whole thing here, it's the ability to retain or retrieve data from the contract. This time, instead of calling message function, the way I did here, I'm going to be calling the setMessage function. So it's going to look like this instead, setMessage. And I'm getting this from in here, setMessage. So I did message, now I'm doing setMessage. All right. Remember, what I discussed in the last video was that the first set of parentheses right here is going to take some arguments that will eventually get forwarded onto the setMessage function. So whatever I pass into the setMessage parentheses will show up in the setMessage function of Solidity here as the new message. So I'm going to pass in a new message of awesome. And I'm doing that as a string. Awesome. Okay. So calling setMessage isn't enough. After calling this function, we have to send it out to the network. So we do the initial setup here and then send the transaction out to the network. And so if I pull up or share with you an old diagram, this one here, this goes back to the topic of running contract functions, such as retrieving data from a contract. And to do that, we have to call a function. But this time, I'm definitely trying to modify the contract data. So to send a transaction to a function, I have to specify where the transaction is coming from, or rather, who is issuing the transaction. So I'm going to attach a method to this line of code, and the method that I'm going to attach is the .send method. Okay? And let's see, yeah, let me save that. So think of send here as being send transaction. So that's what's really happening behind the scenes. And I'm going to pass in an object that describes who is paying for this, who's paying the money, who's paying the gas to modify the data. And this is why it's handy that the Ganache CLI that I implemented here, this Ganache CLI already creates a set of unlocked accounts for us, and it does it in the line where I have the accounts variable assigned with get accounts. right here. So when I want to say who's going to pay for this thing, I can say this message is coming from accounts at 0. So my account is my array of account addresses, and I'm grabbing the first address out of there, and I'll have that person pay for sending this change in the network. And so that looks something like this. And I do accounts, pass in the index of 0. Okay. All right. So the last thing to keep in mind is that this is an asynchronous action. So I have to wait for it to be completed. So I have to mark it await like so. Right. So whenever we send a transaction to a function, we get back the transaction hash. Essentially, we get back an object that you can consider to be a kind of receipt for the transaction I sent in. I'm not going to get back any kind of message. Usually when I send a transaction to a function inside a test, I usually don't assign the function to any variable because we get back the transaction receipt and we could just assume the transaction occurred successfully. Otherwise, this line of code here will just throw us an error if it didn't go through successfully. And it would cause the whole entire test suite to fail. So now I can focus on retrieving the new message that just got set, and then to assert that the message got updated successfully. And so the way I do that, let's see. So in here, just like I did above, I do assert dot equal, and so I'm saying that the message got updated successfully, the message of awesome. All right, so I've saved this. I'm going to run my test, and I'm going to see how this goes. All right, so let me, 1 second while I pull up my command line terminal. There it is. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and npm run test. Here goes. So this will take about 5 seconds. Okay, so we have one that's failing. It says message is not defined. Can change the message. Message is not defined. Line 38. Let's see, assert equal to message. Message is undefined. Did I not define message? Call. Wait. Oh, that's what happened here. All right, so it's good that we saw that error. So that was, I was going through this so quickly that I forgot there's still another line of code to do. Just like up here, let's see, up here we did const message. So here we did, let's see, so it can change the message, set message counts. All right, so in this case, I'm not going to assign this line to a variable of message. I'm going to assign, I'm just going to go ahead and create another new line of message, and I'm going to set that to await, whoops, await, and then I'm just going to kind of repeat this, await inbox dot methods message, and then call. And that, I believe, my friends, is the missing piece, right? So this right here, so I was talking about updating or modifying the data, but then I had to retrieve it. And that's the part that I was explaining, where I was saying I could focus on retrieving the new message that just got set up here, and then asserting that the message got updated successfully. I didn't I was explaining this, and then I didn't go ahead and write the code to retrieve the new message. All right, so now we can. Am I even showing this to you? Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize you weren't seeing this. So what I was, this line here, I'll go ahead and remove it. So the problem was I was talking about this code here where we're updating or modifying the message. We're setting a new message of awesome, and then we send it into the network from this account, the account with the index of 0. Then I started talking about that we could focus on retrieving the new message that just got set, and then to assert that message that got updated successfully here. So to retrieve it was the part where I completely just totally forgot to write the code for that. So again, this is asynchronous. So it's going to be await inbox.methods, message, and then calling the message. All right. So this was the line that was missing. All right. So now if we go back to the command line terminal and run this again, you see how it says here, reference error, message is not defined. So that was the issue there. So I'll go ahead and npm run test again and wait those 5 seconds again. And slowly but surely, we should get a response. Aha, voila. And there it is. All 3 tests have passed with 49 milliseconds. So that's it for writing tests for my contract. I'm going to be working on other contracts in future videos where I'm going to get far more complex than this. Now I'm just going to continue in the next video where I still need to work on deploying this to a local network. So let's take care of that in the next video. I'll see you there.